In this video, I'm going to answer the question, how should you breathe during exercise? This is video 4 in a series of 100 where I'm answering the 100 most common questions that I'm asked. Now, before we answer the question, how should we breathe during exercise, we probably should look at how should we breathe, which seems like a silly thing to look at, but I certainly do see in my clinic some breathing patterns that could be improved, whether it's a result of childhood asthma, whatever. Now, I also see this as a common problem in people who are very experienced in yoga, who are doing belly breathing. In people with ongoing or previous lung issues, I see a lot of upper chest breathing. Both of these could be improved. We ideally want to see some rib cage movement in terms of showing that we're using our diaphragm. Now, as a couple of examples, if I just look at belly breathing and I'm here, we can see my belly moving in and out. If I look at chest breathing, we can see my chest moving in and out. In neither of these we see ribcage movement. So diaphragmatic breathing, ideally we'll see some ribcage movement here. So if you look at my hands, we can see my hands moving with the expansion and contraction of my rib cage. Now, a good place to practice this is maybe laying on a bed on your hands and just feeling this kind of movement in and out on the bed and not at our tummy or our chest. Ideally, you want to see three-dimensional rib cage breathing, but this is a really good place to start. If you have someone's hand or some feedback on your back and front, that can be good as well. You can even start to work towards only really expanding one side. Okay, so there's a lot of things you do, but ideally, we want to see the diaphragm moving. Now, when we're talking about how we should breathe during exercise, firstly, we need to look at what sort of exercise. So when we look at cardio work, it's very common now to look at nasal breathing patterns. And I think that likely the benefits of this are probably exaggerated. Usually we're limited in terms of what we can do with our cardio work. Rather than what we can breathe in, it's more what we can breathe out. We're looking to get rid of carbon dioxide and the byproduct of energy breakdown and getting rid of that through our breath. If our exercise is reaching a limit where we're no longer able to work aerobically, we're not going to be able to just breathe nasally. We're actually going to cause a lot more cardiac stress, and research has shown this when researchers compared nasal breathing and mouth expiration. They have found that whilst there was some changes in metabolism, as in maybe the nasal breathers did actually utilize more fat during their exercise, they had much higher heart rates as the exercise increased because they weren't able to keep up with that ridding of some of that byproduct. So it's important when we're breathing during our cardio work, as we're increasing in intensity, we need to be getting rid of as much carbon dioxide as we can, rather than worrying about necessarily what we're breathing in. You know, breathing nasally might be good in terms of limiting the intensity that you can reach. It might show you that whilst we're exercising, if you're no longer able to breathe in and out through your nose, it might be an intensity above whatever your goals are for that workout. So it's probably better as a way to limit your intensity rather than the benefits of nitric oxide and all these other things that I've spoken about. That we're probably seeing those benefits with the exercise alone anyway. When it comes to strength work, most people are aware of breathing out during the effort. So definitely things like nasal breathing aren't going to work in this, and it's certainly not spoken about as much with strength exercise, but breathing out during the effort is important. Research has actually shown us that people who, in a study where they looked at breathing in during the effort, people weren't able to lift as much. So breathing out is important. We also want to look at, when we're breathing out, looking at some of our spinal stability, some of the muscles around our spine and everything contracting. Some people might refer to this as core. We can get those muscles to turn on through pursed lip breathing. So pursed lip breathing is lips slightly apart and blowing out. And you'll probably notice if you would put your hands alongside your hip bones and you did that, you would feel some tension come under your fingers. So just inside the hip bones, we feel some of these deeper layers of abdominal muscles contracting, and that's going to be good for our back when we are lifting. So we're looking at making sure your diaphragm's moving when you breathe, breathing out through your mouth to get rid of as much carbon dioxide as you can, and pursed lip breathing is probably a good way to get some of these muscles around our spine to contract, and breathing out without effort. If you have any questions you would like to see answered in my series of 100 questions, please ask. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.